Shalom, everyone, and good morning. Shavua Tov. Welcome to our daily shir. And today we're going to speak about our Parsha and the meaning of our Parsha to our daily lives. Parsha Shlach. This is the portion where the Torah tells us about the spies. The Torah tells us about the spies that Moshe Rabbeinu sent in order for these spies to tell Am Yisrael how exactly we will conquer the land of Israel. And as we all know, Am Yisrael just received the Torah, right? And after leaving Egypt, receiving the Torah, they were supposed to enter the land immediately. And then they said, you know what, Moshe Rabbeinu, we want to send spies into the land. And Moshe Rabbeinu consulted with Hashem, and Hashem said, you know what, it's up to you. And as it says in our Parsha, Shlach lecha ledaitcha, which means you can send it. It's up to your mind, whatever you think. Moshe Rabbeinu decides to send the 12 spies. Each spy was from a different tribe of Israel. And there they go to the land and they come back with a very scary conclusion. And their conclusion is that we won't be able to take the land. We won't be able to conquer the land because this land is, the people there are these giants, and they are stronger than us. And they said in a certain way, they're even stronger than Hashem himself. So there is no chance that we can conquer the land. Two of the spies were different. Yeshua ben Nun and Kalev ben Yefune. They were two spies that said, no, we can take it, and there's nothing to be worried about. Now, the story of the spies raises a few questions. And one of the questions is, how could they actually think that Hashem won't be able to conquer the land? And more so, these people at that point, they were righteous tzaddikim. They were the leaders of their tribes. They were very special individuals, special people. What happened? Why didn't they suddenly turn around to the other side and became such evil people that went against Hashem? And we know that the story of the spies did not end well. The story of the spies is that Hashem said, you know what? You started crying for no reason. And you came with these false complaints. I will give you a reason to cry. And since that year, there is something about the day of Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the month of Av, which is a very sad day in the Jewish calendar. And it's a day that we've always got to be very careful about bad things that can happen to Am Yisrael. They came there on Tisha B'Av and they started crying, saying that Hashem won't bring us into the land. From that day onwards, every Tisha B'Av, everyone there needed to dig up their own grave and sleep there through the night. And some people would not wake up in the morning. That was their punishment. Now, we see throughout the history of Am Yisrael, unfortunately, the 9th day of Av was a terrible, terrible day. For example, the destruction of the first temple happened on Tisha B'Av. And these terrible things that happened all started from the sin of the spies, not believing enough in Hashem, not having enough faith, not trusting him enough, not accepting the fact that he can do the impossible. And by the way, the exile of the Jews of Spain began also on the 9th of Av. We know that approximately 500 years ago, the King Ferdinand of Spain decided to exile all the Jews of his kingdom, of his country. And many, many Jews left to Israel, actually. They left to Turkey. They left to the Netherlands. And that's also the time where they found, where they discovered America, where they discovered the continent, the American continent. And it's not only, it doesn't stop there, but Tisha B'Av, you know, the Gerush of Gush Katif, when we were chased out of Gush Katif, out of the Gaza Strip, the settlements in that Gaza Strip, the Jewish cities there, the Jewish villages there, they were all sent out of that place. And that was also Tisha B'Av. People don't always know that, but the Tisha B'Av was a big, it's a very sad day in the Jewish calendar. So what happened there with the sins of the Meraglim? What did the Meraglim do wrong? And we know that there's a famous saying, this is a very interesting saying, that Hashem tells us sometimes, instead of telling me about your big problems, instead of saying to Hashem, I've got huge problems, big problems, tell the problems that you have a great God. And that's a new perspective to looking at things and challenges in life, problems in life. You know, sometimes we assume that our problems are so difficult and so big, and nothing can really ease them, nothing can overcome them. And we are always complaining to Hashem about our big problems, instead of thinking about the certainty that we should have in our connection to Hashem, and our belief in the ways of Hashem, and our understanding that Hashem can do anything he wants. And as a result, instead of complaining to Hashem, we will face our challenges and our problems, and we'll tell those problems, listen, Hashem is great. Hashem can solve you easily because he is so great. And sometimes this is the approach that can solve. And also in Hashem's eyes, Hashem likes to see that Am Yisrael have the can-do attitude, and Am Yisrael say, you know what, Hashem can take care of this problem. Now, what happened with the spies? So the spies, of course, they knew that Hashem is great. Of course, they knew that that Hashem did miracles in Egypt, but they said to themselves, is that the fact that Hashem did great things in Egypt, maybe that applies to some kind of miraculous way that he decides to lead the world. But when Hashem wants us to conquer the land in a natural way, when Hashem wants us to enter Eretz Yisrael, and by the way, part of the purpose of entering Eretz Yisrael was to adjust to the natural ways of the world. The natural ways of the world are that there's no manna falling from the sky. We just read it in the previous Parsha, that Am Yisrael enjoyed 40 years where all of their needs were supplied. They were supplied automatically. They were supplied by Hashem in the best way possible. And Hashem says, the purpose is for Am Yisrael to enter the land in order to work hard in the harvest, to grow foods. And that for them was an understanding that now our approach should be much more of a natural approach. But they miscalculated Hashem's will. And this is an important lesson about nature and about divine providence and the care that Hashem cares about us all the time, including here in Eretz Yisrael. And we know that we are privileged to live in a very special place, that the eyes of Hashem rest on it from the beginning of the year until the end of the year. And it's enough to see what happens around us in order to understand the greatness of Hashem and the way that He actually protects us. So this is the idea behind the approach that we should have towards natural methods in life, and our natural way of medicine, parnasa, ammunition, whatever it is in any aspect in life. Our approach on the one hand should be that all from a strong belief in Hashem, but we don't look at the nature that it has a right for itself. The only right that the nature has is because Hashem wants us to do it in a natural way. And the moment that we say that the nature is stronger than Hashem, that point we are missing the goal. Combination between belief and nature is that the belief itself, Hashem Himself wants us to deal with things in a natural way. He doesn't want us to deal with things in a miraculous way. That's pointless, because you can't keep on forever relying on miracles, right? And nevertheless, after you deal in a natural way, you must always remember that that natural way basically is part of Hashem's plan. It's not that we believe in nature for itself. We believe in nature because Hashem tells us to believe in nature. And what is the difference? Well, the difference is simple, that you will never come to the conclusion that the nature is higher and greater and stronger than Hashem. That will never be our conclusion, because the only reason we take the approach, a natural approach, is because that exactly is what Hashem Himself wants. So this is where the Meraglim miscalculated the reason why they were sent. Moshe Rabbeinu sent the Meraglim to give so-called a natural view of how to conquer the land. How can we actually overcome the strong, fierce people that live there in Eretz Yisrael? And we know it was so interesting because each and every nation wanted a part in the Holy Land. They wanted a part in Eretz Yisrael. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu said, you know what, we're going to start in a natural way. But the Meraglim took that too far. The spies took it too far in the way where they said, well, you want us to tell you a logical opinion and our own objective opinion without interfering with Hashem, without bringing Him into the story. Well, our opinion is, and what we think is that it's impossible to conquer the land. And He's even stronger than Hashem. But Moshe Rabbeinu's intentions, and those were the two spies that were left, they said, yes, although naturally it seems impossible, but if Hashem wants us to conquer it, so He can make sure that we'll be able to conquer it. It's nothing to worry about. Now, here's another thing that we can see with the spies, that sometimes we fail also to do in our daily lives, and that's making assumptions. making assumptions and also making conclusions. When Am Yisrael, basically, when they noticed that they won't be able to conquer the land, when they saw that Hashem actually is, sorry, just 1 second, excuse me. I want to go in. Just 1 second. Okay, back on track. So there's something about the conclusions that the Meraglim made that was also a problem. Sometimes we face a difficult situation. Sometimes we face a challenge, or sometimes we face an impossible task to conquer. Exactly like the spies. They faced Eretz Yisrael. They said the truth. They brought back the fruit. They said, look, these huge fruit. We're never going to be able to overcome the people there. What was the problem with what they said? The conclusion that they made. The assumption that because of these fierce people that we noticed, these giants, these gigantic people, creatures, there's certain opinions that with these were actually not regular human beings, but they were a mix of angels that came down during the Mabul and human beings. So they said, you know what, this is the situation, but as a result, we won't be able to conquer the land. Don't give the result. Leave the result up to Hashem, because the outcome is in Hashem's hand for sure. Sometimes we face certain things and we say, you know what, this is a great challenge. I'm not going to be able to overcome it. It's a great challenge. People, it's going to be very hard. But the moment you say you're not going to be able to succeed, you're basically expelling Hashem out of this equation. You are putting him out of your considerations, and you say, you know what, there won't be any miracles over here. And this is the problem. This is the challenge. This is the problem. And that's why, for that reason, the Meraglim basically sinned, because they came up with the conclusion that they won't be able to succeed. In our Avodas Hashem, the story of the spies means to us today, and we can see it in Eretz Yisrael especially. We can see this special place that we are in, the challenges that we face, but we know that Am Yisrael faced more challenges throughout their history. And that's why, yes, we are entitled to say that things look difficult and this is a hard situation, it's a tough situation, but we should never come up with a conclusion, with the result that because that it's a hard thing, so we won't be able to succeed. You know what? We won't be able to stay in this land for more than 20 years, as people like to say, that the state of Israel isn't going to exist in 20 years' time. And they bring so many
Lost your audio, Rabbi.
We know that it's the reasons sometimes are terrifying reasons that maybe the land won't exist because of whatever it is, external threats, internal threats, the unity amongst Am Yisrael. But we must know that we can't come with any conclusion. We can't say, you know what, as a result, there's nothing to do and we're not going to succeed. We've got to have the trust in Hashem that in any case, He will make sure to keep us safe in the promised land. Thank you very much for taking part in the shiur, and I'm wishing you a Shavua Tov.